Welcome to the Dream Architect channel. Today we'll take a quiet, intimate journey to the heart of life itself, to its slow rhythms and hidden wonders. We'll listen to the planet breathe, watch light dance in the depths of the ocean, and feel the invisible threads beneath our feet that weave all living things into one. This isn't a biology lesson. It's a lullaby, woven from stories of resilience, cooperation, and silent beauty. We'll see that even the simplest things, a drop of dew, the pattern on a butterfly's wing, the rustle of an ancient forest, hold a deep and perfect harmony. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share your thoughts below. It helps other wandering souls find their way here, one sleepy heart at a time. Now just breathe. Let your eyes grow heavy and your mind soften. Let's begin. Our planet breathes, and its breath can be seen on a graph that slowly rises and falls with the changing of the seasons. This rhythmic dance of carbon dioxide, known as the Keeling curve, is the heartbeat of the living world, the great inhale and exhale of Earth's northern forests. In spring and summer, millions of square miles of greenery awaken, from the Siberian taiga to the Canadian boreal belt. And this tide of life surges across continents, pulling carbon dioxide from the air through photosynthesis. The planet's CO2 levels fall. In autumn and winter, when the leaves turn gold and crimson, then fall and decay, the stored carbon returns to the air, a soft exhale, and the curve climbs again. It's the global metabolism, the pulse of a living system, calm, steady, and beautifully predictable. Every moment we are part of this ancient planetary breath, this silent exchange between stone, air, and life. The very first breaths of that life were taken by beings that still exist among us, living fossils from the dawn of time. In the shallow sunlit waters of places like Shark Bay in Australia, you can find stromatolites, living rocks, the descendants of Earth's earliest life forms. These dome-shaped layers are built by billions of cyanobacteria that trap minerals like calcium carbonate in their sticky mats, creating stony homes that grow, layer by layer, through centuries. They have existed for more than 3.5 billion years. Through their slow, tireless photosynthesis, they filled the young, toxic atmosphere with oxygen. They are the silent, humble architects of our world, the creators of the air we breathe. To look at them is to gaze into eternity, to touch the dawn of being. But life didn't begin only in sunlight. It was also born in darkness. In the deepest parts of the ocean, places untouched by even a single photon of sunlight, entire ecosystems thrive without photosynthesis. Around hydrothermal vents, the so-called black smokers, jets of scalding, mineral-rich water burst from the ocean floor. Here, under crushing pressure and extreme heat, bacteria learn to draw energy not from light, but from chemicals such as hydrogen sulfide. They became the foundation of a unique food chain that sustains giant tube worms with no mouths or stomachs, blind white crabs, and ghostly fish. It's a reminder that life is endlessly inventive, that it will always find a way, even in worlds that seem utterly hostile. What we see as deadly, some creatures call home. Microbes known as extremophiles don't just survive, they thrive, in conditions lethal to nearly everything else. They color the boiling geysers of Yellowstone in brilliant hues, live in the thick, salty waters of the Dead Sea, and even in Antarctic lakes sealed beneath miles of ice. Some inhabit acid rivers draining from mines or the radioactive waste of nuclear plants, enduring radiation thousands of times higher than any human could survive. Their existence stretches our sense of what is possible, suggesting that life might thrive on other worlds too, in environments we would call uninhabitable. They are living proof of existence's unbreakable resilience. That resilience is embodied too in one of life's tiniest champions, the tardigrade. These microscopic water bears, clumsy little eight-legged pilgrims, can enter a suspended state called cryptobiosis, where their metabolism almost stops and their bodies dry to just 1% water. In this glass-like state, they can endure temperatures from near absolute zero to boiling, pressures 6 times greater than those in the Mariana Trench, and radiation doses far beyond lethal levels for humans. Some have even survived the vacuum and radiation of open space, and awakened again upon returning to Earth. Tardigrades are a quiet poem about humility and strength, proof that endurance can hide in the smallest, simplest form. Life's form can be as fluid as water itself, dissolving the boundaries we take for granted. Slime molds, or myxomycetes, are extraordinary organisms that blur the line between animal and fungus, between individual and collective. When conditions are good, they live as single-celled amoebas, crawling through forest soil. But when food becomes scarce, they release a chemical signal, and thousands gather, merging into a visible multicellular mass called a plasmodium. This superorganism moves as one body, finding food and even solving simple puzzles, like navigating a maze to reach nourishment, recreating optimal transport networks. They are living proof that cooperation creates intelligence, that from countless small, simple parts can emerge something greater, complex, and aware. This rising of the greater from the small lies at the heart of the planet's most powerful and quiet miracle, photosynthesis. Every leaf, every blade of grass is a perfect little factory, silently transforming sunlight into life. Using chlorophyll, that masterful green pigment, plants capture photons and use their energy to split water and carbon dioxide. From these simple building blocks, they create sugars, their food and structure, and release oxygen, the air we breathe. This unending, wordless alchemy powers almost all life on Earth. It feeds the forests, fills the oceans, and shapes our atmosphere. The greatest miracle happening in plain sight, yet rarely noticed. Invisible processes also link entire forests together, turning them into vast, communicating superorganisms. Beneath the ground lies an ancient network of fungal threads, mycelium, that scientists poetically call the wood wide web. It connects the roots of trees, even across different species, allowing them to exchange nutrients and information. Old mother trees can send sugars and water to young saplings growing in their shade, and transmit warning chemicals about insects or drought, helping others prepare their defenses. A forest isn't just a collection of trees. It's a living community, intelligent, cooperative, and deeply interconnected. Cooperation also shows in how plants care for their future. Seeds can lie dormant for decades, even centuries, patiently waiting for the perfect conditions to awaken. They rest in the soil like tiny time capsules, each holding memory and promise. Some, like the Australian banksia, only germinate after fire, when flames clear the ground and light can reach the earth. Others wait for a precise mix of moisture, daylight, or even a journey through an animal's digestive tract. This patience, this calm endurance, may be one of nature's wisest survival strategies. Nature even gave some of her creations the gift of inner light. In forests around the world, bioluminescent mushrooms glow softly in the dark. Foxfire, ghost fungi, their green shimmer breathing through the night. This glow is born from a chemical dance between luciferin and luciferase, the same reaction that lights the firefly's lantern. Scientists still don't know exactly why these fungi shine. Perhaps to attract insects that spread their spores, or to ward off hungry creatures. To us, it's pure magic, a forest aglow as if filled with gentle spirits or scattered with fallen stars. And the spirit of the forest lives on in its oldest inhabitants, trees that are among the most ancient and massive beings on the planet. The bristlecone pines of the western mountains of the United States can live for more than 5,000 years. These twisted survivors, scarred by wind and time, have witnessed all of recorded human history. They were seedlings when Egypt built its pyramids, and already ancient when Rome fell. Their growth is slow, sometimes just a few centimeters in a century, a deep meditation on endurance and time. Each ring in their wood is not just a mark of a year, but a record of drought or abundance, a quiet, impartial chronicle of the world. This silent chronicle continues in the quiet movements of plants. motions too slow for our impatient eyes to notice. Plants are never truly still. They are always performing slow, deliberate gestures known as tropisms, responding to the world around them. They turn their leaves and flowers toward the sun, phototropism, seeking the light they need for photosynthesis, like tiny solar panels reaching for warmth. Their roots grow steadily downward, guided by gravity, geotropism, always searching for water and nutrients deep in the soil. The tendrils of climbing plants, like peas or grapevines, make slow circular movements called nutations, feeling the air for something to grasp. This isn't passive existence. It's a patient dance with the world, a continuous search for balance and the best position in space. Position in space also defines how plants defend themselves, with a complex, invisible chemical arsenal. When an insect begins to chew a leaf, the plant doesn't suffer in silence. It detects the chemicals in the insect's saliva and responds by releasing volatile organic compounds into the air. These serve as distress signals, warning other parts of the same plant to activate their defenses and even alerting nearby plants to prepare for attack. Some of these signals attract predators, like parasitic wasps, that feed on the very insects causing harm. In effect, the plant calls in air support, turning its enemy into bait for its protector. It's a quiet, invisible war, a world of chemical diplomacy playing out across every meadow. That diplomacy also underlies one of the most universal partnerships in nature, the bond between plants and fungi, known as mycorrhiza. It's a symbiotic union between fungal mycelium and plant roots, essential for both. The fungal threads, far thinner than root hairs, reach deep into the soil, expanding the plant's ability to absorb water and minerals, especially phosphorus. In return, the plant shares sugars and organic compounds made through photosynthesis, food the fungus cannot make on its own. Nearly 90% of all land plants live within such partnerships. This ancient alliance forms the foundation of healthy, resilient ecosystems across the Earth. The health of those ecosystems depends on the great cycle of water, the endless journey every drop makes around the planet. Under the warmth of the sun, water evaporates from oceans, lakes, rivers, and leaves, rising into the atmosphere as invisible vapor. There it cools and condenses around tiny particles of dust, forming clouds, vast white ships drifting across the sky's ocean. Winds carry them for hundreds, even thousands of kilometers, redistributing moisture around the globe. Eventually, the droplets grow heavy and fall as rain, snow, or hail, nourishing the soil, feeding the rivers, and returning to the sea to begin again. This eternal circulation cleanses, renews, and sustains life, binding land, ocean, and sky into one. And within that sky, reflected in the water, lie entire worlds we barely know. Deep-water coral reefs, unlike their bright tropical cousins, exist in cold, dark depths, hundreds or even thousands of meters below. They rely not on sunlight, for they have no symbiotic algae to give them color. Instead, they feed by catching organic particles drifting in the water, growing just millimeters a year. Yet over thousands of years, they form vast branching structures, underwater forests of stone and life. Some of these reefs are tens of thousands of years old, home to countless unique creatures still unknown to science. Silent, ancient gardens blooming in eternal night. That darkness is alive with its own light. The deep ocean glows with bioluminescence, a cold, living radiance that turns the abyss into a starry sky. Here, light is not rare. It's almost universal. Scientists believe up to 90% of deep-sea organisms can produce light. They use it to hunt, like the anglerfish with its glowing lure, to defend, like the squid that releases a cloud of shining ink, and to communicate or find mates in the black vastness. The deep ocean is not an empty void. It's a shifting tapestry of signals and sparks, a silent dialogue spoken in the language of light. Then light gives way to sound, a voice that travels farther and faster in water than in air. The songs of humpback whales are among the most intricate in the animal world, long, evolving symphonies beneath the waves. Their melodies are built from repeating phrases and patterns, structured almost like human music. All whales in a population sing the same song, which slowly changes over time. Sometimes a new theme spreads from one group to another, like a cultural wave, a new hit echoing across oceans. These haunting songs can travel for hundreds of kilometers, used for navigation, communication, and perhaps something deeper that we do not yet understand. Understanding begins with observation, with seeing the quiet cooperation that surrounds us. On coral reefs, cleaner fish run underwater service stations. Larger fish, even predators like moray eels or sharks, approach peacefully, signaling their intent by holding still and opening their mouths wide. The little cleaners dart inside, eating parasites from their skin and gills. It's a remarkable moment of trust, where the hunter allows the small to touch the dangerous, and both benefit. The reef becomes not just a battlefield for survival, but a place of fragile peace and mutual care. That same peace and care exist on land, between birds and great mammals. In the African savanna, oxpeckers spend their lives riding on the backs of buffaloes, giraffes, and rhinos. They feed on ticks and insects, cleaning their host's skin and easing their discomfort. In return, they gain safety and a steady food source. When danger approaches, a lion or a predator, the birds cry out sharply, warning their massive companions. It's a living partnership, traveling together across the endless plains. Across those plains, countless other lives move too, guided by ancient instincts of migration. The Great Migration of Wildebeest in the Serengeti Mara ecosystem is one of nature's grandest spectacles. Each year, over 1 million animals, joined by zebras and gazelles, journey in a vast circle across hundreds of kilometers, following the rains to new grasslands. It's not chaos. It's an ancient choreography, a collective memory passed down through generations, a pilgrimage written in the rhythms of earth and sky, the eternal search for life amid danger and change. That same search drives some birds to achieve the impossible. The Arctic tern holds the record for the longest migration of any creature on Earth. Each year, it travels from its Arctic breeding grounds to the Antarctic and back, up to 90,000 kilometers, more than twice around the planet. Over a lifetime of 30 years, it may fly the equivalent of 3 trips to the moon and back. These graceful travelers see more sunlight than any other being on Earth, forever chasing summer from pole to pole. Other birds rely not on endurance, but on intelligence. The New Caledonian crow, native to a small Pacific island, rivals chimpanzees in tool-making skill. They fashion hooks from twigs to pull grubs from bark and cut serrated tools from pandanus leaves. They plan steps ahead, solving multi-stage problems that require using several tools in sequence. They even pass their skills down generations, forming a true culture of craftsmanship. It shows that complex intelligence is not just the domain of primates, but the natural outcome of life adapting to challenge. Intelligence also shines in collective form, like that of fire ants, master engineers of survival. When a flood comes, thousands of ants link together with their legs and jaws, forming living rafts and bridges. The lower layers may be completely underwater, but the tiny air bubbles trapped between their water-repellent bodies keep them afloat and breathing. This act of perfect coordination and self-sacrifice allows the entire colony, queen and larvae included, to survive and continue. They prove that strength lies in unity, and that the whole can be wiser, tougher, and more enduring than the sum of its parts. Parts of a whole can communicate through an abstract dance, as honeybees do in the darkness of the hive. When a scout finds a rich source of nectar or pollen, she returns and performs the famous waggle dance on the vertical comb. The angle of her dance relative to vertical, gravity, encodes the direction of the food source relative to the sun's current position. The length of the waggle phase and the vibration frequency tell the distance. Other bees gather close, read this choreography, and fly straight to the target. It's one of the most complex, symbolic forms of communication in the animal world, a quiet, precise ballet that sustains the entire Colony. A hive's prosperity, and that of many communities, depends on the fine, invisible threads that bind them to the plant world. Pollination is the foundation of more than a third of our food and the health of most land ecosystems. Bees, bumblebees, butterflies, hummingbirds, bats, even certain lizards and rodents move from flower to flower in search of nectar, unwittingly transferring pollen from stamens to pistils and ensuring fertilization. It's a delicate, unwritten pact between animals and plants, and from it come fruits and seeds, the endless cycle of life. Every apple, every berry is the result of this quiet, beautiful cooperation. The cycle of life also includes sleep, subtle, essential, and nearly universal, even for animals that cannot fully switch off. Dolphins, whales, and other marine mammals have evolved a way to rest without drowning and while staying alert in a dangerous sea. They practice unihemispheric slow-wave sleep. One half of the brain sleeps, while the other stays awake to control breathing and watch for threats. The eye opposite the sleeping hemisphere remains open. After a time, the roles reverse, allowing the whole brain to rest in turn. They can sleep without ever losing contact with the world. For some animals, the surrounding world is a world of scent, far richer and more detailed than ours. Dogs possess a sense of smell that, depending on breed, can be tens of thousands to millions of times more sensitive than a human's. The nose is a sophisticated analyzer, detecting faint odors and comparing input from each nostril, stereo olfaction, to pinpoint direction. They can detect illness, sense human emotion through hormonal changes, and even feel the passage of time as a morning scent fades. To them, reality is a multidimensional tapestry of aromas telling endless, precise stories. Stories can also be told through the faintest touch. Cats have not only facial whiskers, but special sensitive hairs, carpal vibrissae, on the backs of their forelegs. These wrist whiskers help a cat feel prey held in its paws, gauging its exact position and signs of life even when it can't be seen. They are sensitive enough to detect tiny vibrations, another way nature expands perception beyond our coarser senses. Our own sense of the world expands when we learn about magnetoreception, a sixth sense in some animals. Migratory birds, sea turtles, salmon, and many others can perceive Earth's magnetic field and use it as an internal compass during long journeys. The mechanism isn't fully known, but a leading idea points to special proteins called cryptochromes in the retina. Activated by light, their chemistry is influenced by alignment with magnetic field lines. In effect, birds may see the planet's magnetic field as a pattern overlaid on normal vision, a guide home written in light. Those journeys lead us to a deeper truth. Even the soil beneath our feet is not inert dirt, but a living, breathing, astonishingly complex organism. A single teaspoon of healthy forest or meadow soil contains more microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, protists, nematodes, than there are people on Earth. Billions of tiny workers continually break down fallen leaves and dead roots, turning them into nutrients plants can use. They build a crumbly, porous structure that holds water and air. This invisible army is the base of fertility on land. Without their quiet, patient labor, life at the surface would not exist. That labor creates one of nature's most soothing ancient scents, the smell of earth after rain. This aroma, petrichor, arises when the first raindrops strike dry ground. Falling drops trap tiny air bubbles that rise and burst, releasing fine aerosols. Those carry geosmin, a volatile compound produced by soil actinomycete bacteria, along with plant oils released during drought. Our noses are exquisitely sensitive to geosmin. We detect it in vanishingly small amounts. Perhaps it's an evolutionary echo. Rain meant life, the end of thirst, the waking of the land. Survival in arid places has inspired remarkable designs, like the fog-basking beetles of the Namib Desert, one of the driest on Earth. At dawn, as heavy ocean fog drifts inland, the beetles climb dune crests and strike a special pose, head down, abdomen up, into the wind. Their hardened wing covers carry a micro-pattern of water-loving bumps and water-repelling grooves. Fog droplets form on the bumps. When large enough, they roll along the smooth channels straight to the beetle's mouth. An elegant, efficient answer to thirst. Nature's nano-engineering at work. Nature's engineering also writes in ice, crafting snow crystals that are unique yet rule-bound. A snowflake begins as a tiny particle of dust high in a cloud. As it falls through cold, moist air, water molecules freeze onto it, arranging into a six-sided lattice dictated by the structure of H2O. Its final shape, simple plate, needle, or intricate dendritic star, depends on the exact path it travels, on temperature and humidity at each layer. Because every flake follows its own journey, no two are exactly alike. A fleeting, fragile work of art, created by physics and chance, a quiet reminder of endless variety. That variety is painted on butterfly wings, not mere decoration, but a sophisticated tool for survival and signaling. The patterns arise from thousands of tiny scales, tiled like shingles. Color comes in two ways: pigment, which absorbs some wavelengths and reflects others, as in the monarch, and structural color. In morpho butterflies, microscopic structures in the scales bend and interfere with light, producing iridescent metallic hues that shift with viewing angle. These patterns camouflage, intimidate predators by mimicking owl eyes, and help mates recognize one another. Each wing is both optical instrument and canvas, evolution's artwork in motion. Evolution's story is also told by how life returns to charred ground. After a forest fire, the landscape may look dead, a field of ash, but fire triggers renewal. It frees nutrients locked in old wood and litter, clears dense understory, and lets sunlight reach the soil. Some seeds, like those of jack pine, Pinus banksiana, or certain eucalypts, are sealed in resinous cones that open only in intense heat. Grasses and pioneer flowers arrive first, followed by shrubs and young trees. Slowly, the forest heals, proof of nature's resilience and capacity for self-repair. That same capacity lives in one of the smallest builders on Earth, diatoms. These single-celled algae, a major part of marine plankton, construct exquisite houses from silica, essentially pure glass. Their shells, called frustules, fit like a petri dish, two halves sliding together, and display astonishing symmetry. Pores, ribs, spines, each pattern unique to thousands of species. When diatoms die, their glass skeletons settle to the seafloor, forming thick layers of diatomite over time. They are the ocean's tiny, invisible jewelers, crafting delicate beauty that can outlast them by millions of years. For millions of years, living fossils have endured, among them the ginkgo biloba tree, a true marvel of resilience. This unique species, with no close living relatives, has remained almost unchanged for 270 million years, since the age of the dinosaurs. It survived mass extinctions, ice ages, and countless shifts in climate. Ginkgo trees are remarkably resistant to pollution, pests, and disease. Some live for more than 1,000 years. After the atomic bombing of Hiroshima, 6 ginkgo trees growing near the blast site survived and sprouted new leaves the following spring. They became symbols of unbreakable life, of hope, and of eternal renewal. That hope is preserved, too, in the existence of global seed banks, like the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, carved deep into the Arctic permafrost. Inside the mountain, in constant cold and safety, lie duplicates of hundreds of thousands of crop seeds from around the world. It is a Noah's Ark for plants, a safeguard for humanity, built to preserve genetic diversity in case of disaster, climate collapse, plant epidemics, even nuclear war, a quiet, foresighted act of care. Humanity's collective promise to protect the priceless legacy of nature for generations to come. Care for the future also lives in the way animals pass knowledge to their young. Orcas, with their intricate societies and distinct cultures, teach unique hunting techniques specific to each family clan. Different clans specialize in different prey and use entirely different tactics. In Argentina, some orcas have learned to intentionally beach themselves to catch sea lion pups. then slide safely back to sea. Mothers patiently train their calves for years in this dangerous art. It is not mere instinct, it is culture, passed on through teaching. Culture exists even in the songs of birds. In many songbirds, sparrows, finches, and others, the songs are not innate but learned. Each region has its own dialect, distinct in rhythm and tone. Chicks must learn by listening and imitating adult males, especially their fathers, during a critical early stage. Over time, small mistakes and variations accumulate and are inherited, forming unique regional accents. By studying these dialects, scientists can trace migration routes, listening to history written in music. Nature's music also plays in the trembling whisper of aspen leaves, a sound unlike any other. The secret lies in the leaf's long, flattened stem, set perpendicular to the blade. This design makes the leaf extremely sensitive, causing it to flutter and twist even in the faintest breeze. The result is that calming, whispering rustle and a practical advantage. The constant motion lets sunlight reach deeper into the canopy, cooling the tree and easing wind stress by letting the air pass through. As the wind sweeps over the ocean, it transfers its energy to the water, creating waves that can travel across entire seas. Waves born from distant storms can carry that energy thousands of kilometers, reaching peaceful shores. As they approach shallower water, the wave begins to feel the seabed. Its lower part slows down, while the crest races ahead until it rises, curls, and breaks against the shore with the timeless sound of surf. That rhythmic, predictable voice is one of Earth's oldest and most soothing, an eternal dialogue between sea and land. That dialogue creates vital ecosystems, mangrove forests, thriving in the tidal zones of tropical coasts. These remarkable trees and shrubs have mastered life in salt water and shifting tides. They filter salt through their roots and specialized leaf glands and breathe through aerial roots, pneumatophores, that rise from oxygen-poor mud. Their dense, tangled root systems slow the current, trap sediment, build new land, and shield shorelines from erosion and storms. Mangroves are nurseries for countless fish and crustaceans, living bridges between sea and land. Bridges also exist between night and day, in the lives of crepuscular animals active during dawn and dusk. Deer, rabbits, coyotes, skunks, and many others have adapted to these hours to avoid both daytime and nocturnal predators, and to escape extreme heat or cold. Their vision is tuned to dim light, rich in rod cells for sensitivity. This gentle in-between time, when the world glows in soft pastels, belongs to them. Their quiet activity is the muted heartbeat of life at the edge of light and shadow. Those tranquil hours bring one of nature's most delicate wonders, dew. At night, the ground and leaves cool faster than the air, radiating their warmth into space. Moisture condenses on these cool surfaces, forming tiny beads of water. For many plants and insects, especially in arid lands, dew is a precious source of moisture. A spider's web covered in dew becomes a string of diamonds, and leaves wear crystal spheres that refract the first rays of dawn. It's a silent miracle, a nightly gift of the cool sky to the warm earth. That gift from sky to earth is also seen in clouds, the visible language of the atmosphere. Feathery cirrus clouds, high and thin, are made of ice crystals and often herald an approaching warm front. Fluffy cumulus clouds, cotton-like and bright, signal fair weather, though with enough energy they can grow into towering thunderheads. Gray uniform stratus clouds stretch like blankets across the sky, bringing steady rain or snow. To watch clouds is to read the sky, to understand its moods and glimpse its intentions. Nature's intentions are not always straightforward, as with the mysterious purr of a cat. Cats purr not only when content and relaxed, but also when in pain, frightened, or giving birth. Research shows that their purring frequency, between 25 and 150 Hz, matches the therapeutic vibrations used to heal bones and tissue. Perhaps purring is more than communication, a self-healing mechanism, a low-frequency lullaby that soothes and restores. It is the sound of inner resilience, a cat's private song to comfort itself and its young. A different kind of lullaby fills the night ponds in spring and summer, the chorus of frogs and toads. Each croak is not mere noise, but a coded message in a complex social network. Males call to attract mates and mark territory. Each species sings a unique song, and females can distinguish their own kind by rhythm and tone. Pitch and volume reveal a male's size and strength. What sounds chaotic to us is, in truth, a symphony of communication, the music of life performed in the dark. And the dark itself glows, lit by fireflies, turning summer meadows into a fallen sky of stars. Their soft, cold light comes from a chemical reaction between luciferin and luciferase, nearly 100% efficient, producing light without heat. Each species flashes in its own code, a pattern, color, and rhythm of light unique to its kind. Males fly, signaling. Females wait in the grass, replying to the ones they choose. It's a gentle dialogue of light, a quiet romance in the warm air of night. Romance and destiny also drive the Pacific salmon on their epic, heroic, and ultimately tragic migration. Born in cool freshwater streams, they journey to the ocean, where they live for years, gathering strength. Then, guided by perfect instinct, by scent, and perhaps Earth's magnetic field, they find their way back to the very river of their birth. They fight upstream through rapids and predators without feeding, to spawn and die. Their bodies feed the river and the young that follow, completing an eternal sacrificial cycle. That cycle of life and death is sustained by the quiet labor of fungi, the planet's unseen recyclers. Together with bacteria, they decompose fallen wood, leaves, and carcasses, returning nitrogen, phosphorus, and other elements to the soil. They make those nutrients available for new growth. Without fungi, forests would drown in their own remains, and the cycle of matter would stop. Fungi are the invisible bridge between death and life, silent alchemists transforming decay into renewal. That continuity of life is upheld even by the humblest flowers we overlook, those we call weeds. The dandelion, for instance, is a miracle of endurance and generosity. Its golden blooms are among the earliest sources of nectar for bees in spring. Its deep taproot breaks hard soil and lifts nutrients from below. Every part of it is edible and rich in vitamins. And its fluffy white seed spheres, parachutes in miniature, are a brilliant design for spreading life on the wind, a symbol of persistence, simplicity, and joy. Nature's generosity culminates in her farewell spectacle, the colors of autumn. Those reds, oranges, and golds were always there, hidden beneath the green of chlorophyll. As days shorten and nights cool, the tree stops producing chlorophyll, and the green fades, revealing the underlying pigments, carotenoids and xanthophylls. Some trees, like maples, even create new red anthocyanins as protection from excess sunlight. The autumn forest is not dying. It's giving a final, radiant performance before its long winter sleep. A spectacle of light and color unfolds high in the polar sky, far from human eyes. The aurora, the northern and southern lights, appears when charged particles from the solar wind, hurled out by the sun, reach Earth and collide with gas molecules in the upper atmosphere. Our planet's magnetic field, an invisible shield, traps these particles and funnels them along its lines toward the magnetic poles. There, at altitudes of roughly 100 to 400 kilometers, they excite atoms of oxygen and nitrogen, causing them to glow. Oxygen paints the sky its most common green, and more rarely red, while nitrogen gives blues and violets. It is a cosmic dance, a visible sign of how Earth's magnetic shield protects us from solar radiation, turning a potentially deadly bombardment into the most beautiful light show on the planet. Nature's artistry is also written in the slow, majestic building of river deltas, where great rivers complete their long journeys and enter the sea. Carrying billions of tons of suspended sand, silt, and clay washed from the continents, a river slows on the plains and lays down its load. Over time, these sediments accumulate and form new land, and the river splits into many branches and channels to find its way to the ocean. Seen from above, A delta resembles a branching tree, a leaf, or a circulatory system, a place where land is literally born from water before our eyes. It is a steady, creative process that spans millennia and continually redraws the edges of continents. Over thousands of years, caves have formed, silent palaces carved by patient water. Rainwater, picking up carbon dioxide from the air and soil, becomes a mild carbonic acid. Seeping through cracks in limestone, it dissolves the rock molecule by molecule, drop by drop, century after century, opening caverns, vast halls, and endless galleries. When the mineral-rich water drips from a cave's ceiling and meets the air, carbon dioxide escapes and calcite precipitates. From these drops grow icicle-like stalactites above and rising stalagmites below, sometimes joining into grand columns. A cave is frozen music, a symphony composed in perfect darkness over geologic time. Silence and darkness also conceal the secret of echolocation, the remarkable sense used by bats, dolphins, whales, and others to navigate. They emit rapid, high-frequency clicks beyond human hearing, then listen for echoes from surrounding objects. By analyzing delay, intensity, and frequency shifts, their brains build a detailed three-dimensional sound image of the world. This lets them move and hunt in total darkness, judging the size, speed, and even surface texture of a flying insect. They see with their ears, perceiving shapes and details our imagination can barely grasp. In the dark of the soil live earthworms, modest, unseen, yet vital engineers and gardeners of ecosystems. As they burrow, they aerate and loosen the ground, improving structure and helping water and roots penetrate. They pull leaf litter and other organic matter underground, and as soil passes through their digestive tract, it's broken down and enriched with nutrients and beneficial microbes, becoming fertile humus. Charles Darwin devoted an entire book to them, and Aristotle called them the intestines of the earth. Their quiet, tireless labor is the foundation of the fertility of our gardens, fields, and forests. Our gardens and fields would be unthinkable without the long, patient domestication of wild ancestors of modern crops. Thousands of years ago, as people gathered wild grains, fruits, and vegetables, they began to notice and select plants with desirable traits: larger fruits, ears that didn't shatter, milder flavors. They saved seeds from those plants and sowed them the next year. Across hundreds of generations, this unconscious artificial selection produced the astonishing diversity of wheat, rice, corn, apples, the staples of our diet today. Every apple on our table is the result of a millennia-long conversation between people and plants, a living story of patience and observation. Patience and observation also shaped bonsai, the ancient art of training miniature trees in containers. It is not about breeding dwarf varieties, but guiding ordinary trees and restraining their growth. With shallow pots, careful pruning of roots and branches, and wires to shape trunk and limbs, the artist creates a living sculpture over decades. The aim is not simply a small tree, but the essence and spirit of a great weathered one in its natural landscape. It is a meditative practice demanding daily care, a quiet dialogue between gardener and tree about form, balance, time, and the beauty of imperfection. Time itself is captured in amber, fossilized resin from ancient conifers, tens to hundreds of millions of years old. Long ago, sticky drops of resin flowing down a trunk trapped tiny insects, spiders, pollen, spores, feathers, even small lizards. Sealed away from decay, they were preserved in exquisite detail. Buried and compressed, the resin polymerized and hardened into amber. Amber with inclusions is a pristine window into prehistory, allowing scientists to study, in fine detail, creatures that lived in the age of dinosaurs. A fragile greeting from a vanished world, a single instant frozen in deep time. A greeting from another world appears in stick insects, unmatched masters of camouflage who perfectly mimic twigs, branches, or leaves. Their elongated bodies, colors, textures, and even behaviors are tuned for invisibility, especially from birds. Some hang motionless for hours, swaying like real branches in the wind. Others freeze with legs outstretched or even shed limbs that later regrow. This survival strategy, mimicry, is a quiet deception. A high-stakes game of hide-and-seek where the prize is life itself. Sometimes the best defense is simply not to be seen, to dissolve into the surrounding world. Chameleons also vanish, but through their famous, often misunderstood color change. Contrary to popular belief, they do this not only for camouflage, but to communicate and to regulate temperature. Color shifts reveal a chameleon's physiological and emotional state: fear, aggression, stress, readiness to mate. Bold tones can warn rivals or attract mates, while darker shades absorb warmth from the sun. This happens not merely through pigments, but through specialized skin cells, chromatophores, containing nanocrystals that change spacing and thus alter how light is reflected. Their skin is a living, dynamic canvas, displaying intent and emotion. Animal emotions differ from ours, yet they appear in astonishing acts of parental care, as in Antarctica's emperor penguins. After the female lays a single egg in the heart of winter, she passes it to the male and returns to sea to feed for 2 months. The male bears the hardship of incubation through brutal cold and storms, balancing the egg on his feet beneath a warm brood pouch so it never touches ice. To survive, thousands of males huddle tightly together, slowly shifting positions so those on the freezing edge eventually reach the warm center. It is an extraordinary feat of paternal devotion, endurance, and collective sacrifice. Collective endurance and complex social lives define elephants as well, living in close-knit family groups led by the oldest, wisest female, the matriarch. She is the living memory of the herd, knowing distant water holes in drought, safe migration paths, and responses to danger. Elephants communicate with a rich language of sounds, touches, and postures, and with infrasound, low-frequency vibrations that travel through the ground for kilometers beyond human hearing. They show behavior akin to mourning, lingering with the remains of their dead and gently touching bones with their trunks, signs of deep social and emotional bonds that last a lifetime. Connections in nature can be astonishing, even unsettling, like the bond between the cordyceps fungus and ants in tropical forests. Spores of this parasitic fungus land on an ant and germinate inside its body, slowly replacing its tissues with fungal threads. Chemicals released by the fungus take over the ant's nervous system, controlling its behavior. The infected ant, now a zombie, leaves its colony, climbs to the underside of a leaf at a precise height above the forest floor, and bites down in a death grip. Then it dies, and from its head, the fungus grows a stalk that bursts open, scattering new spores onto unsuspecting ants below. It's a chilling yet ingenious strategy for survival, a dark masterpiece of biological precision. But not all relationships are parasitic. Many achieve harmony through partnership. Lichens found on rocks, tree trunks, and old fences are not single organisms, but symbiotic unions of fungus and microscopic algae or cyanobacteria. The fungus builds the body of the lichen, shielding its partner from drying, sunlight, and cold. The alga, in return, performs photosynthesis, sharing its sugars with the fungus, which cannot make its own food. Together they thrive where neither could live alone, from Arctic tundra to scorching desert. A lichen is living proof that unity is strength. That strength also shines in the power of regeneration. Sea stars can regrow lost arms, and in some species, a single severed arm with part of the central disc can grow into a whole new star. Salamanders and axolotls can regenerate not just limbs and tails, but portions of the spinal cord, eyes, even parts of the heart, without scarring. This astonishing ability, powered by stem cells, is nature's quiet miracle, and humanity's dream of healing made real. Life's endurance blooms even in the desert, in the remarkable architecture of cacti. Their thick-ribbed stems store vast reserves of water, while their leaves evolved into spines, protection against herbivores and a way to reduce evaporation. Photosynthesis takes place not in leaves, but in the stem. And through photosynthesis, cacti open their pores only at night to absorb carbon dioxide, minimizing water loss in the heat of day. It is a survival strategy refined to perfection, a masterpiece of living engineering. Perfection of form lives too in the nautilus, a living fossil nearly unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. Its elegant spiral shell is divided into chambers. As it grows, the animal seals the old ones and builds new, larger rooms. By adjusting gas and fluid inside the chambers through a delicate tube called a siphuncle, the nautilus controls its buoyancy with submarine-like precision. Its shell forms a near-perfect logarithmic spiral, a mathematical pattern found throughout nature, from sunflower seeds to spiral galaxies. Pure geometry, brought to life. Living light dances upon the sea when bioluminescent plankton gather by the millions. In warm waters, these tiny dinoflagellates, like Noctiluca scintillans, flash with electric blue light when disturbed by waves, a boat, or even a passing hand. Each movement sets the ocean aglow, as if liquid starlight ripples at your feet. The glow may serve as a defense to startle predators, but to us, it is one of the most magical, tranquil sights on Earth. A sea-breathing light. There is peace, too, in watching a spider weave its web. It begins not with chaos, but with precision, an instinctive sequence of engineering steps. First, the spider anchors a few support lines to form a sturdy frame. Then it spins radial threads like spokes of a wheel, followed by a temporary spiral of dry silk to move along. At last, it replaces that spiral with sticky capture silk, moving inward, leaving a dry center for itself. A web is a marvel of natural design, light, elastic, and strong, a meditation in motion, a trap woven with quiet perfection. Nature's mastery includes illusion. The lyrebird of eastern Australia is one of the world's greatest mimics. The male can reproduce the songs of dozens of bird species, and almost any sound it hears, a camera shutter, car alarm, chainsaw, even the cry of a baby. He weaves these sounds into elaborate courtship songs, showing off his virtuosity. It is not simple imitation, but creativity, an acoustic collage, proof of memory and intelligence shaped by evolution's artistry. Memory, too, is written in the quiet behavior of forests. Crown shyness is a mysterious phenomenon where the canopies of tall trees never touch, leaving delicate branching gaps between them. No one knows exactly why. Perhaps it prevents branches from rubbing and breaking in the wind, or stops insects from spreading from tree to tree. Or maybe it allows more light to reach lower leaves. Whatever the reason, it looks like trees are politely respecting each other's space, painting graceful patterns against the sky. And across that sky, patterns come alive in starling murmurations, one of nature's most mesmerizing sights. On autumn evenings, thousands of birds rise together, flowing like a single living cloud. They twist, fold, and ripple in unison, their shapes morphing in seconds, a dark ballet breathing against the twilight. It's not chaos nor telepathy, but elegant self-organization. Each bird tracks only its 7 nearest neighbors, matching their speed and direction. From those simple local rules emerges a vast, moving harmony. Beauty born from unity. Unity also protects the planet itself. The ozone layer, high in the stratosphere 20 to 30 kilometers above Earth, is a thin, invisible shield that absorbs most of the sun's ultraviolet radiation. Without it, life on land as we know it could not survive. UV light would destroy DNA and proteins. Ozone molecules, O3, constantly form when sunlight splits oxygen molecules, O2, and break apart as they absorb new rays, maintaining a fragile equilibrium. This invisible layer is the planet's calm embrace, a silent guardian that filters sunlight, allowing life to flourish in warmth instead of burn in flame. The flourishing of life depends on its humblest and most ancient citizens, like mosses, those soft green carpets we often tread upon without noticing. Among the first plants to venture onto land more than 450 million years ago, mosses have no true roots, stems, flowers, or seeds. They absorb water and nutrients through their entire surface, like a sponge, and can dry into brittleness, only to come alive again with rain. Mosses play a vital role in ecosystems. They prevent erosion, hold immense amounts of moisture, regulate the water balance, and in peat bogs, sphagnum mosses form peat, a vast natural carbon reservoir. Each cushion of moss is a moist microcosm, a quiet cradle for countless tiny forms of life. Cradles for new life take many shapes, like the nests of birds, masterpieces of instinct and architecture. From a shallow scrape in the ground made by a shorebird, to the woven hanging baskets of weaver birds, to the sturdy clay pots of oven birds, the variety is endless. Birds build with twigs, grasses, moss, lichens, feathers, spider silk, and even scraps of human material like string and plastic. Nest building is largely instinctive, but it often involves learning and improvisation. Every nest is a temporary home, a miniature fortress built with patience and care, a fragile shelter for something infinitely precious, new life itself. New life can begin with a dance, an extravagant display performed by the birds of paradise in the rainforests of New Guinea. The males possess the most dazzling plumage on Earth and perform some of the most elaborate courtship rituals known to science. They clear small stages on the forest floor, and when a female appears, transform themselves into surreal living sculptures, spreading feathers, twisting into strange poses, and calling with otherworldly cries. Each species has its own unique choreography, evolved over millions of years of female choice. Through beauty, artistry, and performance, evolution itself becomes pure theater, life's creative force in its most spectacular form. The art of survival takes many forms, too. In Eurasia, viviparous lizards have found a way to adapt to extreme climates. In the warm southern regions, they lay eggs like most reptiles. But farther north, in places like Scandinavia and Siberia, where the ground stays cool and summers are short, the females give birth to live young instead. They carry the eggs inside their bodies until hatching, regulating the embryo's temperature by basking in the sun or retreating to shade. It is a flexible, ingenious adaptation, proof that life always finds a way. Environment shapes perception as well. The human eye, unlike that of many mammals, is most sensitive to green. That is no coincidence. Our primate ancestors evolved in lush forests and savannas where shades of green dominated the world. Being able to distinguish subtle variations in foliage meant finding tender leaves, spotting ripe fruit, and detecting predators hidden in the canopy. Our instinctive love for greenery and the calming effect nature has on our minds may be an evolutionary memory, a deep nostalgia for our original home. Our home, planet Earth, has its own subtle music, a low, continuous vibration known as the Schumann resonance. This global frequency, around 7.83 Hz, can be detected only by the most sensitive instruments. Its exact origin is still studied, but it likely arises from the constant flash of lightning around the world, which sends electromagnetic waves resonating between Earth's surface and the ionosphere. It is the planet's heartbeat, a faint, endless hum, a cosmic mantra sung by Earth as it drifts through space. Nature's mantras can also be heard in the murmur of a mountain stream. The soothing sound of flowing water is not random noise. It is a complex blend of countless tiny collisions, splashes, and bubbles. Our brains interpret this broad, soft soundscape as safe and natural, masking harsher noises and easing the mind. The trickle of a stream is nature's own white noise machine, lowering stress, quieting thoughts, and inviting calm. Calm comes, too, with the understanding that even the mightiest mountains are not eternal. Ranges like the Himalayas and the Alps continue to rise from the slow, relentless collision of tectonic plates, even as wind, water, and ice grind them down. Grains of sand carried by rivers to the sea are pieces of once towering peaks, worn away grain by grain. Over millions of years, mountains are born, eroded, and reborn, waves frozen for a moment in the stone ocean of the planet. The ocean itself remembers all the rivers that have ever flowed into it. Its saltiness is the memory of the land. For billions of years, rain has washed minerals from the rocks, carrying them through rivers into the sea. As water evaporates, the salts remain, slowly enriching the ocean's chemistry, the cradle of marine life. Each crystal of salt is a fragment of ancient stone, completing its long journey from mountain to shore. Light makes its own journey, too, through Earth's atmosphere, explaining why the sky is blue. Sunlight, though white to our eyes, contains every color of the rainbow. As it passes through air, molecules of nitrogen and oxygen scatter the shorter wavelengths, blue and violet, much more strongly than red or yellow. That scattered blue light reaches us from every direction, filling the sky with its calm hue. At sunset, the light must pass through more air, scattering away the blues and leaving behind the warm reds and golds that paint the evening sky. Gold and orange return in another fleeting miracle, the super bloom of desert flowers. In places like the Atacama or Mojave Desert, after rare, heavy rains, long dormant seeds awaken in unison. Within weeks, barren landscapes erupt into a sea of color, millions of blossoms in yellow, pink, violet, and white. It is a brief, dazzling festival of life, proof that even in the harshest wastelands, immense potential lies waiting beneath the dust, patient and silent, until the moment is right to bloom. Periodical cicadas of North America wait for their moment, spending 13 or 17 years underground as nymphs. All that time they grow slowly, sipping sap from tree roots. Then, in a single appointed year, billions from one vast population rise to the surface by an inner calendar. Within weeks they molt into winged adults, fill the air with thunderous song, mate, lay eggs in tree branches, and die. This strategy, built on long prime numbers, 13 and 17, helps them evade predators, since no enemy can synchronize its life cycle to such rare events. It is a mathematically tuned plan for survival. Life's appearance in the most unexpected places is the refrain of Earth's story. Beneath glaciers in Antarctica and Greenland, ice caves hold ecosystems sealed from the outer world. Meltwater percolates through cracks, carrying microbes and dissolved minerals from the rock below. In these cold, dark, oxygen-poor realms, unique bacterial communities live by chemosynthesis, oxidizing iron, sulfur, and other inorganic compounds. They, in turn, feed more complex microbes. These icy worlds hint at the possibility of life in the subglacial oceans of Europa or Enceladus. Sterility is only a notion. Even our own bodies are not entirely ours. On our skin and in our gut lives a vast, intricate community of microbes, bacteria, archaea, fungi, and viruses, our microbiome. Their cells rival our human cells in number, and their genes outnumber ours by hundreds of times. They are not parasites but vital partners, helping digest what we cannot, synthesizing vitamins, training our immune system, and even influencing mood by producing neuroactive compounds. We are not solitary beings but walking ecosystems, superorganisms balanced in fragile harmony. Harmony appears too in plants that sleep at night. Many legumes, clover, acacia, mimosa, and wood sorrel perform nyctinasty, rhythmic leaf movements tied to day and night. At dusk, their leaflets fold. At dawn, they open to greet the sun. Guided by circadian clocks and changes in turgor pressure, the purpose remains debated. Perhaps energy conservation, heat retention, or reduced visibility to night herbivores. It feels as if the plant tucks itself into a green cocoon to rest before a new day. For a young sunflower, the new day begins with a precise turn toward the east. Juvenile sunflowers show heliotropism, tracking the sun from east to west through the day, then rotating back at night to face sunrise again. Driven by circadian rhythms and uneven stem growth, this motion stops once the head matures and grows heavy. Then it settles facing east. Morning warmth attracts more pollinators, boosting reproduction. A quiet daily dance with the sun. A different daily dance unfolds in Jellyfish Lake on Palau. This ancient saltwater lake, almost cut off from the sea, shelters a unique population of golden jellyfish, Mastigias papua. Over millennia of isolation, they lost their stinging cells. There are no natural predators. Each day, millions drift in a slow horizontal migration, following the sun across the lake. Their symbiotic algae need light for photosynthesis, and in return, they feed the jellies. An entire lake pulses with golden domes, surreal, silent, and profoundly calming. Calm resides in watching a gecko walk up glass and across a ceiling. Its grip is not glue or suction, but physics, intermolecular forces. Each toe pad carries millions of tiny hair-like setae, each branching into hundreds of nanoscale spatula. This vast contact area lets weak van der Waals forces add up, binding foot to surface. A gecko literally sticks at the molecular level, strong enough to hold many times its own weight. Great strength can hide in patience, as in a pearl oyster. When a grain of sand, a shell fragment, or a parasite slips inside the shell and irritates the soft body, the mollusk begins to coat it with thin, concentric layers of nacre, the same substance lining its shell. Year after year, it lays down layer upon layer, smoothing every edge. Pain becomes beauty, a flawless, luminous pearl born from time, endurance, and steady work. Time and patience shape soil horizons as well, the layered pages visible in any soil profile. The top, dark, crumbly layer is rich in humus from decayed plants and animals. Below lie leached zones where water has washed out clays and soluble minerals, leaving lighter colors. Deeper still is the accumulation layer, where those materials settle, often forming dense clay. At the base sits the parent rock from which the whole profile slowly forms under climate and life. A soil's profile is its biography, a quiet record of vegetation, weather, and millennia of change. History written in earth sometimes blooms at the surface as fairy rings. Nearly perfect circles of mushrooms, or of darker, lusher grass, can span dozens of meters. They form as a single fungus, growing from one spore, spreads outward evenly beneath the ground. New fruiting bodies rise along the ring's active edge. As the center ages and exhausts nutrients, it withers while the rim advances, the circle widening by centimeters each year. Some rings endure for centuries, a visible footprint of a vast, ancient, hidden organism. Hidden processes can also sculpt frost flowers, rare, delicate ribbons of ice seen on cold autumn mornings. When air drops below freezing while the ground remains unfrozen, sap in certain stems freezes and expands, cracking the stem lengthwise. Water is slowly extruded through the cracks and freezes instantly, forming thin, curling sheets. As water continues to wick up from the roots, the icy petals grow into feathery, spun shapes, a fragile sculpture of plant, water, and frost that vanishes with the first sunlight. Water and light together paint the rainbow, one of the sky's most hopeful illusions. When the sun is behind you and rain falls ahead, each droplet acts like a tiny prism. Light refracts entering the drop, reflects off the back, and refracts again on exit, separating into colors because different wavelengths bend by different amounts. Red, bent least, crowns the arc. Violet, bent most, lines the inner edge. A rainbow is not a thing but an appearance, a smile of the sky after rain, seen uniquely from where you stand. Smiles appear too on the serene faces of quokkas, the small marsupials of Western Australia often called the world's happiest animals. Their jaw shape and facial muscles create a friendly, smiling expression. Naturally curious and almost fearless, they're popular with visitors, a trust likely shaped by life on islands like Rottnest, where predators were scarce. Their calm, open look is a gentle reminder of what the world might feel like without constant fear. A world without fear, at least during sleep, exists for sea otters. As they drift on the water, they often hold hands with their companions so they won't drift apart in the current. Families of otters, and sometimes huge floating groups called rafts can include dozens or even hundreds of animals sleeping, eating, and playing together, forming a living, drifting community. This tender gesture isn't just adorable, it's essential for safety and connection. A simple, pure expression of trust and warmth that helps them survive and stay united in a vast, ever-moving world of water. The world of water hides another marvel, the patient architecture of coral polyps. What looks like a massive stone structure is actually a living colony. Billions of tiny creatures, relatives of jellyfish and sea anemones. Each coral polyp builds a tiny limestone cup for itself, extracting calcium carbonate from seawater. As generations reproduce and build upon the skeletons of their ancestors, a reef grows, layer by layer, over thousands and even millions of years. Coral reefs are the largest structures on Earth built by living beings. Underwater cities created by countless immortal architects. Tiny architects work on land as well, like African termites of the genus macroterms, who build monumental mounds that can rise over 6 meters high. These aren't just homes, but complex climate-controlled towers. A network of tunnels, chambers, and ventilation shafts uses wind and daily temperature shifts to keep air circulating, maintaining steady humidity and temperature for their fungus gardens. A termite mound is like an external lung and air conditioner for the entire colony, a masterpiece of natural engineering built for survival in the heat. Life in the heat has turned camels into true monarchs of the desert. Their humps store fat, not water, a massive energy reserve for lean times. Breaking down that fat also produces metabolic water. Their nostrils can close against sandstorms and conserve moisture. They can lose up to 30% of their body weight in water, a level that would kill a human, then drink over 100 liters within minutes. Their oval blood cells resist dehydration, and their physiology is tuned for endurance. The camel is nature's living sculpture of efficiency and resilience, perfectly designed for extremes. Perfection shows in the woodpecker too, hammering trees thousands of times a day without injury. Its small brain fits snugly in the skull, minimizing movement on impact. A long, flexible hyoid bone wraps around the head like a safety belt, absorbing shock. Spongy bone texture and a slightly uneven beak distribute force away from the brain. Together, these features let the bird endure thousands of Gs, a biological marvel of shock absorption. The health of an entire forest can depend on quiet partnerships, like that between Clark's nutcracker and certain pines, such as the whitebark pine in North America. The bird gathers the pine's nutritious seeds and hides them in thousands of small caches across the forest. Its memory is extraordinary, but not perfect. Some seeds remain forgotten and sprout into new trees, often in the best possible spots, like fire-cleared ground. By feeding itself, the bird unknowingly plants forests, becoming nature's forester, one seed at a time. Nature's elegance lies in its simplicity. A giraffe, the tallest of all land animals, has just 7 neck vertebrae, the same as a mouse or a human. Each vertebra is simply elongated. To lift blood up its 2-meter neck, the giraffe has a colossal heart, weighing up to 11 kilograms, generating the highest blood pressure among mammals. To prevent fainting when it lowers its head, a fine network of arteries, the rete mirabile, regulates blood flow. Its anatomy is a living solution to gravity, a triumph of biological engineering. Gravity and travel are solved elegantly by the maple seed, the tiny helicopter of childhood. Its winged blade makes it spin rapidly as it falls, creating lift that slows descent and lets the wind carry it far from its parent tree. This ensures its seed lands where it can grow freely, away from competition, a simple, brilliant way to harness the laws of air. The offspring of sea turtles begin life in a desperate dash toward the ocean. Hatching under the sand, usually at night, they instinctively crawl toward the brightest, lowest point on the horizon, the sea, glowing with moonlight. It's a brief but perilous run, where crabs and birds wait in the dark. Those few that reach the water disappear into the vast ocean for years, until one day they return, guided by Earth's. magnetic field, and a mysterious inner memory, to nest on the very same beach where they began. That memory of place and time lives in life's deepest foundation, DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid carries the genetic blueprint of every organism, the densest and most stable data storage known. 1 gram of DNA could theoretically hold hundreds of petabytes of information, every film, book, and song ever made. In living cells, it encodes all instructions for building proteins, developing an organism from a single cell, and recording the story of evolution, passed down for nearly 4 billion years. Each cell in our bodies carries this ancient, wise library. That library also holds the recipe for hemoglobin, the protein that gives blood its red color and carries oxygen from lungs to tissues. Remarkably, hemoglobin, the breathing molecule of animals, and chlorophyll, the green pigment of plants that captures sunlight, share nearly identical chemical structures. Both are built around a complex ring called a porphyrin. The only key difference, at its center, hemoglobin holds an atom of iron, while chlorophyll holds magnesium. This deep kinship reminds us that all life on Earth, in all its variety, speaks the same ancient chemical language, built from the same cosmic grammar. That universal language whispers of peace, of the slow, steady rhythms beneath everything alive. From the planetary pulse seen in climate cycles to the soft dance of a bee in the dark hive, from the near-invisible growth of a 1,000-year-old tree to the brief green glow of a mushroom in the night. All are notes in one vast, eternal symphony. And now, as your mind grows still and your thoughts drift, you can hear its quiet echoes within yourself. If you enjoy these calm journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here, one sleepy soul at a time. For now, just breathe. Let your eyes grow heavy, and let the gentle rhythms of life cradle your thoughts to rest. Good night.